My name is Katrin, and in the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to tell you a bit about my master's research as part of the Carbonate lab at the University of British Columbia. Before starting, I would like to acknowledge that I am located at the University of British Columbia on the traditional, ancestral and unceded lands of the Musqueam, Coassalis peoples and the Tsleil-Waututh nations. I would also like to acknowledge that the research field site of this study is on the land of the Tlaxtlan Nation and Binche-Wuten First Nation. This study is on the formation and preservation of brucite and awaruite in a serpentinized ophiolite, central British Columbia, and the implications for carbon sequestration and nickel recovery. The incentive of the study is to help combat the climate emergency. To be able to do that, we need to capture and store carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, as well as mine metals efficiently and environmentally to phase out fossil fuels. There are two key minerals in serpentinite that are needed to be able to do this. Brucite, along with serpentine, can be used to sequester carbon dioxide, and awaruite is a potential source of nickel that can, for example, be used in electric car batteries. Here you can see two petrographic images of both of these minerals. Brucite is in this image surrounded by magnetite and serpentine, and on the right-hand side is a coarse awaruite grain with some minor nickel sulfides and magnetite. Knowing both minerals' distribution, abundances, and correlation can help make carbon neutral or carbon negative mining possible. And that is through ex situ carbon mineralization. That is the idea that reactive minerals, such as brucite, in the mine tailings or the mine waste, can react with carbon dioxide to form stable carbonate minerals over geological timescales. So the field site is the Dakar area, which is located in the Cache Creek terrain, shown in yellow over here, with all the ultramafic rocks in British Columbia shown in black, and the Dakar area is in the center. The ultramafics in the Dakar area are a basal section of an ophiolite, and they're variably serpentinized and carbonate altered, shown with the different patterns of the purple area here. There's also mapped the awaruite grain size and sample locations for this study. This area is the perfect place to study brucite and awaruite, as they have been shown to be in high abundances in this area. So we have four main research questions that we are collecting information to be able to answer. The first one is, how does the protolith composition affect the formation and distribution of brucite and awaruite? Two, what is the hydration and carbonation history recorded by these rocks? And three, how does metasomatism or carbonate alteration affect the abundance and grain size of these minerals? And lastly, does the temperature and pressure of metamorphism dictate mineral assemblages and abundances? So during this field petrographic and geochemical study, we found the protolith of the ultramafic rocks to be mainly composed of harzburgite with lesser liersolite, dunite, and pyroxenite. In this outcrop image over here, you can see a pyroxenite dike that crosscuts dunite and harzburgite layers. On the right-hand side is a mineral normalized abundances plot of the samples with normalized to olivine, orthopyroxene, and clinopyroxene. And the different colors show the estimated olivine-pyroxene ratio of the samples. So commonly, ultramafic rocks are altered and metamorphosed via partial to full hydration. This process is referred to as serpentinization. So serpentinites are composed of serpentine mineral group, which can be lizardite, antiquarite, chrysotile, or other minerals. It can also be brucite, magnetites, sulfides, alloys, and others. And because these serpentinites contain highly reactive hydrated minerals, they can be readily carbonated to form magnesite, other carbonates, talc, quartz, and minor fuchsites. This process is the natural analog to carbon mineralization. And just note here, the two minerals that we are looking at for this study are stable in the serpentinites. These two processes can also be seen by looking at the volatile abundances and the mineral abundances. The x-axis of these two plots is the loss in ignition. so both the H2O and CO2. And you can see here that the degree of serpentinization from roughly 0 to 15 weight% LOI is the serpentinization process, while from around 15 to 40 weight% LOI, it's the carbonate alteration. And this is seen in the serpentine and brucite mostly for serpentinization, and magnesite mostly for carbonate alteration. This is useful for exploration and first estimates of the two minerals. So in more detail is the brucite abundances plotted up on this graph over here. The x-axis is the same as in the slide before, and we have the brucite abundance on the y-axis. As you can see, the abundance of the mineral is increasing with a higher degree of serpentinization. It varies with the original olivine-pyroxene ratio of the protolith. So the higher the brucite abundances are in the higher olivine-pyroxene ratio, or in the dunites. As well, we can see the awaruite abundances plotted up here on the right-hand side. They also increase with a higher degree of serpentinization, but the highest abundances and the coarsest grain sizes are found in the olivine-rich harzburgites rather than in the dunites. This is because of the presence of pyroxene that helps hydrogen formation, which stabilizes awaruite. So we combined a variety of methods, including petrography, mineral compositions, X-ray diffraction, thermogravimetry, Raman spectroscopy, and stable isotope analyses. And we found 5 distinct alteration stages: 3 serpentinization, SERP1, SERP2, and SERP3, and 2 carbonate alteration stages, CARB1 and CARB2. These stages differ in fluid composition and pressure and temperatures. So brucite is most stable in the later part of SERP1, that is SERP1b, and awaruite is both in SERP1b and SERP2, but is more stable over longer periods than brucite. These 5 alteration stages are also summarized on a regional scale in this image over here. At first, in a supersubduction zone, the harzburgite, dunite, and pyroxenite form in the upper mantle. Then in a continental environment, during or post-terrain accretion, SERP1 and SERP2 form and are sourced by meteoric fluids. The estimated temperatures of SERP1 are roughly 250 to 300 degrees Celsius, while SERP2 is estimated to be from 324 to 450 degrees Celsius. The main reason for this is we have the presence of metamorphic olivine in SERP2. And during these 2 stages is the main brucite and awaruite formation. Lastly, at a later point, we are also in a continental environment where we have CARB1, SERP3, and CARB2 occurring. The carbonate alteration stages are sourced by crustal fluids. They are possibly brought up by stratigraphically lower rocks through shear zones. And these 3 stages consume brucite and awaruite. So in conclusion, serpentinization increases brucite and awaruite abundance, but carbonate alteration consumes them. The brucite abundance is primarily controlled by protolith composition, olivine-pyroxene ratio, serpentinization at low temperature in SERP1b, and the lack of metasomatism. Awaruite is controlled by a combination of protolith composition, olivine-rich harzburgite, serpentinization extent in SERP1b and SERP2, and low oxygen and sulfur fugacities. Here you can see an image of a hand sample where we have the disseminated awaruite grains and serpentine and brucite in the matrix. So thank you for listening, and feel free to reach out by email, Twitter, or LinkedIn if you have any follow-up questions or want to chat. Thank you.